Well, hi and welcome to Jim's Radio Shop. And I'm not in my shop, though I'm in my office. And I just spent quite a bit of time studying the schematic for the Philco 91 radio. And here's the schematic. Now, the last video, if you watched it, you saw me take a lot of voltage readings. And of the 9 tubes, most of them were okay, but 4 of them showed some anomalies. So, that's my notes. 44 and all 3 37s all have problems with high voltage. So I wondered what could be causing that. And so here's what I've deduced. And this might get a little awkward here. I'm going to have to use my magnifying glass a little bit. Yeah, it's going to get a little awkward here, but I'll try and show it to you like this. So here they are. This tube, these 3 tubes are all missing their high voltage. These 3, they're all 37s. Don't have a screen. This guy has a screen grid. Okay, so in studying the circuit diagram very thoroughly, here's what I've deduced. On this tube, its problem probably is this coil right here. And the reason I've deduced that is because no B plus here. There's the coil. If you trace this line back, it's just a wire or a connection. Keep tracing it. Here's another coil up through this coil, but I can measure the B plus here on this tube, which I could show you on the chart, but I won't bother. You just have to trust me. That's the only part, unless it's a wire, that could interrupt the B plus supply. That's almost certainly here. Now that's too bad. I don't like that result. On this 37, this is called the detector rectifier. Okay, now this guy gets his high voltage. Where does he get his high voltage from? There's a capacitor there. And of course, and off the cathode is another capacitor. So you really wouldn't expect any voltage here. And often detectors, that's how they operate. They develop a bit of a DC voltage, which is quite useful on the radio, but you shouldn't expect to find any B plus there. So that might be just fine. These 2 guys, okay, so we trace these lines back, and I had to use my magnifier to do this. Encounter this line right here. Right here. You trace it back up through here. This is probably the field coil, certainly the field coil on one of the speakers. And down through here and right down to the power supply. So here's the B plus coming out, a little more filtering in this field coil, then heading off this way. 1 connection, 2 connections, only 2. Whoops. There's a 3rd one going down here. Never mind that one for now. Up it comes. It comes up through here. Now, I'm going to have to do some more testing on these. I mean, first of all, I have to convince myself that what I found last time is real. I'm going to repeat the tests and convince myself that these really don't have any B plus. I'll then try to investigate back on this line what is going on and where I can find B plus. Okay, I don't want to say anything, but there's some coils here. Hey, maybe it's the field coil on the speaker that I reconnected. Maybe I made a mistake there. Yeah, that'd be kind of nice. I can also try to locate this transformer here, and I can check the resistance of it. And this one here, there's a couple of resistors here that one of these could be open. I mean, it could be multiple problems in here, of course. But for now, I think we got this problem here and something else in this area that's resulting in what I'm getting. Now here's the interesting question. This radio works. You can tune it and you can hear stations being picked up. So how can that happen? So to try to answer that, after doing much tracing, here's kind of what I concluded. If there was any signal on this line, well, let me back up. Here's the two push-pull tubes. Okay, and they're getting their signal out of this transformer, and it's kind of being inverted or split, however you want to look at it, by this transformer here. So so the only way you could get any signal into here is to have it come through this coil. But we know this isn't operating, so there must be another way to get to these grids. So what if there was a signal coming in on here? Well, that's an interesting question. First of all, where could it come from? Well, it could come from back here, back here, back here, back here, and no farther. So since this tube's not working, none of these are, I don't think you can get any signal out of here. You'd have to get the signal from back here somewhere. So I kept pondering this question. I also think if you did put a signal on this line, you know, you'd be feeding a push-pull amplifier in phase, so you'd end up with the in-phase signals at this point. You wouldn't get anything, any action in this transformer. You wouldn't get any output. Now, there was a lot of balance problems in here, and so maybe it would actually get a little bit of output. Maybe it really would be audible the way you know, you've heard the radio too, if you've been listening to my previous videos. So then I thought, well, wait a minute, there's a screen grid in here. Now the screen grid, where does it go? Okay, follow that line back through a resistor, through this thing. This thing here. I'm going to look at that with a magnifying glass in a moment. So all the way up here, and look where you are. I'm at the top of the RF, or the plate rather, the plate of the RF tube. So that could develop a signal that could travel all the way down here and get into the screen grids. But again, you have that problem of this should be all balanced, so it shouldn't result in anything. But maybe the balance is just such that a little bit does make it out of the speakers. Basically, bypassing the bulk of the radio. Not sure about that. Now, this thing here, this guy right here, let's get a little magnifying glass on it there. When I look at that, it looks very much like an indicating meter. Now, there's no indicating meters on the radio in the normal sense, but there's the shadow meter. I can't find any other symbol that might represent the shadow meter. So I think that's it. I think that's the shadow meter. That explains a little bit now about the wires being cut on the shadow meter. And I can see the wires sticking out of the shadow meter, but where's the wires it connected to? They are gone. So what's happened here is some previous technician has abandoned the shadow meter inside the radio. He's removed the two lead wires and then probably inserted an appropriate resistance in here to compensate for the missing meter and to keep the radio happy. So that's my guess as to what's going on at this point. And I think if we can solve the voltage here and the voltages here, I think we'll be in good shape. If it turns out to be this coil, we're in bad shape. If it turns out to be this coil, we're in bad shape. So certainly not out of the woods with this radio yet. Thanks a lot anyway. And oh, by the way, let me have a chance to show you one more thing. especially for people who are watching lots of my videos. Most of my videos I'm shooting with this guy here. This is my playbook. It's a BlackBerry playbook. And there you can see it there. So most of the time this is what I'm slinging around in my shop and setting down, and you're hearing the it's quite versatile. And I don't have to do what I'm doing now, which is holding my hand in the air with my webcam. In any case, thanks a lot for watching. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check these points out on the radio and see if they really are the problem. See you soon.